In this video, we're going to take some time to explore some of the reasons why people get stuck in plateaus and to identify whether you are actually stuck in a plateau or not. The first thing to look at is there's a couple of different stages in your climbing life. One is consolidation and the second is growth. Growth phases are really easy to identify. They're when you're consistently jumping up through the grades. Most noticeable, this happens when you first start climbing. You might jump V1, V2, V3 in the space of a month. But as we get more complex with climbing and into the harder grades, these grade leaps are going to become further and further apart. Quite often people feel like this is being stuck in a plateau. This can be true, but this can also be due to another reason: consolidation. So consolidation is a phase of your climbing growth where you're going through and you might not be doing a harder grade climb, but you're going to be doing more of the grade that you are at, and you're also going to be learning to do them faster. So if we want to climb V6, we're going to have to do X amount of V5s. We might even have to get to the point of flashing V5 before we push into V6. I would identify a plateau as a point in your climbing where you're not doing any harder grades. You're also not consistently sending more of the grade just below your hardest grade, or you're not progressing towards a flash. What are the reasons behind these plateaus? The most common one is that people are set in a certain way that they climb. They're not adaptable to the stimulus that's being put in front of them. An extreme example would be those climbers who are very, very static, or they're just crimp fiends. At some point, setters are not always going to be setting crimpy climbs. There's going to be a variety of crimpy climbs at one stage, and then a variety of slopey climbs, dynamic climbs, and going through a whole bunch of different styles. So what's really stopping this crimp climber from progressing? It's the amount of tools that they have in their tool belt. Can they climb open-handed on slopers? Can they be dynamic? Can they climb slab? Filling in all of those gaps is going to create you into a more well-rounded climber, and it will also give you more opportunities to progress. Crimp fiends are a very specific example. A more generalized example that we see is people with holes in their movement repertoire. The amount of different movement types that they understand, like momentum, tension, speed. Is your tempo adaptable enough to be able to change your movement type on every single move on one climb as required by the climb to make it the most efficient way to climb the climb? The beautiful thing about growing your movement skills is we don't have to change a lot about your approach to climbing to really have a lot of growth in this area. The best way is to develop a warm-up, or just come into the gym, have your warm-up on the wall, and pick either your lowest hanging fruit, so something that you're not skilled at. Let's say if you're the most static climber in the world, adding a little bit of momentum into your warm-up on every single climb on the wall will help grow that awareness and improve your ability to apply this skill. The next reason you might be stuck in a plateau is your approach to climbing. If we look at it from just a grade range perspective, V1 to V3 climbers probably can just turn up, pull on, try hard, and they're going to get to the top of the project eventually. If we look at V4 to V6 climbers, we're probably going to have to start adapting that approach to having a little bit more rest in there, as well as some projecting principles in place. If you look at a V7 plus climber, they've got a very different approach to climbing from these first two examples. Another approach that can be improved in climbers is the way that we're projecting. Pulling on from the start, climbing as far as we can, dropping off the wall, having your rest, pulling on from the start, climbing as far as you can, falling off again. This is super taxing on the energy systems. A better approach can be to, on the first attempt of the day, pull on from the start, climb as far as you can through the boulder. But once you've done a move that you can do 2 out of 3 times, or you're pretty confident you can repeat it every time, there's not much point in improving that move every single time you come into the gym. You want to work out all the moves that you haven't done and spend that energy on the moves that you haven't done. So on the first attempt, climbing through as far as you can, falling off, then pulling on a couple of moves before the point where you fell off, climbing as far as you can again. Hopefully you'll make it through that crux sequence, make it a bit further in the climb, falling off again, then pulling on just before that next fall off point and climbing through to the top. Utilizing this energy when you're fresh, you're going to get a lot further through the boulder, you're going to save a lot more energy and solve a lot more problems.